Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. How you doing, man?
Testing. Tech 4. We're good, but how are you?
Cool. I'm coolin'. I just came back from a kind of fake ass religious ritual for Confucianism, in front of a statue of Confucius here, and you know.
Did you purposely go?
Yeah, one of the students invited me, and actually the application I used to communicate with the student just stopped working on my phone, which is kind of awkward. But anyway, I guess I'm going to try to reinstall the app and see if that works. Sorry, most boring part of the story. But yeah, you know, I've got to admit, all these ancient societies were built on animal sacrifice at these rituals. And when you take the animal sacrifice out of it, it's funny, but there's just not that much left of the ritual. It's like, you know, it's like bullfighting with a mechanical bull. So, pretty much all you got going on is putting flowers in front of a statue, you know? Yeah.
Could you, like, sacrifice some vegans, like some non-vegans that want to put themselves out there for something, they would put themselves?
Yeah, it's a question. But anyway, this is actually the first time, you know, Confucianism was really illegal under communism here. And this is the first year on campus they've actually done a ritual in front of the statue to Confucius. So this is part of the transition of China from communist culture to fake-ass kung fu movie culture. This is ongoing all around me. And all the girls were dressed up in, you know, fake historical outfits, the same style people wear in kung fu movies. So that's the future of China.
You weren't a big fan of the event, I guess.
No, look, it's cool. I'm flattered to be invited to this kind of thing. And like, you know, in Chinese culture, it's kind of easy. It's easier to cope with because everything is fake anyway. So it's not like a problem. Like back when I was doing First Nations, when I was doing Cree and Ojibwe, Native People Canada, like sometimes I got invited to events, religious events, you know, rituals they were doing. And I said to them, look, if I'm there, it's not a real ritual. Like, you know, if I'm there, it'll be fake. So I shouldn't come, you know. And they were really shocked at that. But I was like, look, my way of respecting your religion is by not, you know, pretending to participate when I'm, you know, when it's not my religion. You know, if it's going to be real, you know, I shouldn't be there. But yeah, with this kind of thing, it's totally fake anyway, so there's no problem with me being there. This is probably not what you want to talk to me about, but yeah, just mentioning that. That's why I'm wearing the suit. I just came from that religious ritual. So, yeah.
Fair enough. I have not got a chance to hear your opinion on the recent banning of Durianrider on YouTube.
Well, the problem is now it's a banning and it's an unbanning, right? So we only had a couple days of him being offline. Yeah, he's back. He's back up. His channel is back on again now. So he was only taken offline. Yep, his main channel, yeah, is relisted. So that does raise questions. You know, I mean, Durianrider lies about a lot of things, but he might be telling the truth about this issue, in terms of his claim about how the channel got blocked in the first place. In contrast to Norwegian's claim. And Norwegian is certainly capable of lying. I've seen him lie myself. But, yeah, I mean, you know, obviously I thought it was a positive thing for veganism and for YouTube to see the rules applied in that case. You know, the rules on YouTube are applied very unevenly and very unfairly. And, you know, I mean, an example of that, my video about Ted Carr got censored. I had a video about Ted Carr that was taken offline for so-called bullying. Now, it was a harsh criticism of Ted Carr, but I was really talking about the content of his philosophy. You know, what he says about diet and exercise, and mostly about career and education, job aspirations. You know, he's into this philosophy of drop out of school and don't try hard. And I'm into the philosophy of don't drop out of school, try harder. If you do drop out of school, you got to try 10 times harder. You know what I mean? Now you got to try even harder because you ain't got no education. But you know, so it was a critique along those lines that got taken down for bullying/harassment. It's like, well, okay, if me criticizing Ted Carr on this stuff, if that is bullying or harassment, what about what Durianrider does? What about, you know, all these examples? What about what Vegan Cheetah did? You know, Vegan Cheetah is now kind of past tense too. You know, how can this possibly be the same set of rules for everyone? Yeah. So that's it from YouTube's perspective. For the vegan community, for the future veganism movement, of course, tremendously positive thing if Durianrider got deleted. Who knows if we'll live to see that day?
Ted Carr's from here. I heard he's like a huge womanizing piece of shit. That's what I know about Ted Carr. But
he says he only ejaculates a couple times a year. So, you know, if you call that a womanizer, I mean, like that's what he claims, and I don't know any men who boast about how few times they ejaculate per year. So,
and then who knows? But so what's the deal when Norwegian went to YouTube headquarters?
You see how quickly he moved off that subject. You see how quickly he moved off that subject. So it's possible Ted Carr just eats a lot of pussy. That's possible, my man. But otherwise, he's getting less sex in a year than you get in a weekend. So, that's, if you think he's a womanizing piece of shit, that's not what I've heard, and that's not what he says about himself. So,
The ladies, just like I'm listening to Olga right now, who is currently apparently enjoying the broadcast with you on, my friend.
Cool. Anyway, so what do you want to? Oh, sorry. Did you want to say more about the Durianrider thing? There's not that much more to say. If you guys don't know, my court case is still ongoing. So in the middle of December, I go back to Chiang Mai. I'm going to have another day in court. No idea if anything's going to come of it. And I mean, I have very low expectations of the Thai justice system at this point. I'm not expecting a lot of justice out of the Thai justice system, but if we got a little bit, that'd be nice. And, after that, I'm going back to Canada. So if there are more court hearings after I go back to Canada, that'll be really tough for me. It'll probably be impossible for me to ever come back to court again after this. So if the case is either dismissed or delayed, if it doesn't wrap up with this next day in court in December, probably from my perspective, that's the end of the case.
Would you be satisfied with just putting the kind of pressure that was on him in the first place with the court case and everything and all the exposure and where he is at now on social media because of, it all kind of triggered through the, would that be satisfying enough for
Well, I mean, you saw this kind of domino effect that started with me when I stood up to him and I was starting to ask hard questions. That's even before he threatened me. When I was asking hard questions about his diet advice, about his exercise advice, I was asking hard questions about Freelee's credentials before they got exposed, that she had actually lied about her education and so on. There were a lot of lies. I mean, everything, including just straight up lies about how many calories you can eat while losing weight. I mean, some of them were kind of boring lies of that, but there was a lot of lies, a lot of bullying. There was a lot of darkness in what was going on with them, and they switched from, early on in my critique of them, I used to give them the concession. I used to say, look, they didn't ask to be in a leadership role. They just came on camera and wanted to present their kooky lifestyle, their eccentric lifestyle. They used to be against using shampoo. They used to be against using toilets. They tell you to pee in a bucket. You can still find that stuff if you search for it. They used to be against using soap. They were against vaccines. They were against modern medical science. There was all this crazy crap. But up to a certain point, they were just a couple of eccentrics, making money out of diet books, but also, presenting their lifestyle. And I used to say, look, I can't criticize them too harshly because they don't claim to be leaders in the vegan movement. And then that switched. That's when my criticism got way more harsh and excoriating. They started describing themselves as, quote, the most effective vegan activists in the world. And they started pushing lifestyle activism as the replacement for, what PETA does, not just as competing with, but as better than what else was going on in the vegan scene. So I started laying in and saying, no, it's not. But, so you asked me, am I satisfied with the process? What we've seen since I stood up to Durianrider is a long, slow process of people waking up. And one of the early dramatic ones was Vegan Gains. Vegan Gains went from being Durianrider's friend and supporter to being his enemy. Durianrider doesn't have anything in between. Either you're 100% his friend or 100% his enemy. But, I like to give an example of that. Vegan Gains doesn't care much about politics. He doesn't know much about politics. But he cares a lot about health science. So I remember just asking Richard, how could you support this guy when he claimed to have cured Crohn's disease? Just as an example, Crohn's disease, if you guys don't know, is a very serious, genuinely incurable disease. And you got this guy, Durianrider, claiming cured. That's exactly the sort of thing Vegan Gains hates and that he criticizes in other fitness YouTubers. If you make fake claims about curing a disease, it discredits veganism. There are a lot of bad impacts in that. And, Richard really had nothing to say. You know what I mean? But in that same way, whether your thing was health information or weight loss, no matter which angle you came at it from, or street politics, street protest. I mean, a guy like Joey Carbstrong, that's really his whole life's blood is street protest, is public outreach. But so there people came in from different angles. Each of them in the space of a year had to ask themselves, why were they making excuses for Durianrider? And for sure, me standing up to him, my criticizing him, and then ultimately my standing up to him in court, that was kind of a pinprick in the balloon. Where after that, the balloon just, kept losing air. And the more Durianrider defended himself, the more lies he told, the more obvious it was to everyone, including people who are close personal friends of his, people who were intimate in his life, They all had to face up to the extent to which this guy was a liar and a manipulator and a bully and that kind of thing. But, in terms of the legal process, so far the legal process hasn't done anything except given Durianrider another opportunity to tell a bunch of lies. And then people saw that they were lies. People learned that they were lies because, the court case was real. I wasn't lying about everything, and he was. So that was just one more opportunity for people to kind of wake up. And that's basically what we've seen. The only thing I'd say beyond that is, fashions come and go within veganism. You've been in this game for long enough to see different fashions come and go. Like Quest, I would even say like DXE. DXE 1.0, when Direct Action ever was founded, they had a kind of style, they had a different fashion of vegan activism, that changed. But in the same way also, we've just seen the end of that fashion, that style, that period of Durianrider and Freelee lifestyle activism. We've seen that die across the board. So yeah, that's it though. But the court case itself, otherwise, it's been an opportunity for people to wake up. People are going to learn when they want to learn, and no sooner. And otherwise, no, I got nothing positive to say about it.
That's awesome. So, Norvegan went to YouTube and not just describe you to take pictures. He never actually went in and made the claim or anything like that.
Okay, sorry, I heard you say something about Norwegian, but then just the audio signal broke up at this end. So what was the question about Norwegian? If you can't get it across, you can type it in. Just switch it.
He went to YouTube headquarters in his video.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what we don't know is if that had any effect, though, right? Because Durianrider is telling a different story about this being related to somehow Freelee posting spam in his account or something. But if Norwegian's story were true, or if it mattered, then why was his channel reinstated with no changes just a couple days later, right? Now, it's possible Norwegian is telling the truth. It's possible he thinks it's the truth, but it's not true. Like, it's possible he had this meeting, and then by coincidence, the channel got briefly canceled, but it wasn't really related to the meeting. When I sent my legal documents to YouTube Corporation, they basically responded by saying they'd be willing to delete particular videos that name me. Like if I want to send them examples of videos and timestamps, they would delete those videos. But otherwise, they weren't going to do anything with Durianrider. And that's contrary to my interest. I don't want to be in a situation where people can't see both sides of the story. You know what I mean? Like, it's not in my interest legally or professionally or morally to delete the evidence of what the problem is. Like if there are only videos on my channel complaining about the problem, but people can't go and see Durianrider denouncing me this way, then it's it's hard to make progress in that situation. So I didn't go further with that. But that is generally YouTube's attitude towards this, is that these problems only exist in particular videos that contain identifiable information, and that's why Durianrider always uses stupid nicknames for people, so that he can harass and bully and denounce people and skate the line of YouTube because it's not using your legal name.
Speaking of somebody else that's been accused of doing things like that, the BTS made a YouTube video about your legacy. Have you seen that?
No, I heard he was going to, but I haven't seen it yet. So somebody did tell me that. I mean, obviously I could see it within the next couple of hours. But because I heard he was going to do that, I took a look at his video on Durianrider's legacy. And I mean, Charles Marlowe, formerly known as Vegan Cheetah, I just feel, he's on empty. He just had nothing to say. Like I could do a video right now on that topic, on Durianrider's legacy or my legacy, on any topic. I could do a video unscripted, no prep, that's better than his material. I really feel, like in a sense, his material was garbage before. But YouTube is like rap music. You gotta have something to say, and then there's the question of whether or not you say it well. That's the real question. And like, I mean, rap music. I just heard the new album from Action Bronson, you know, which I thought was terrible. I think it's his worst project of all time, or worst project in many years. But like, rap album from Action Bronson, some of the songs have a decent beat, but it's like, fundamentally, if this is just a rap song about how happy you are to own an expensive car, it's going nowhere, you know? So I'm just saying, like, you know, with YouTube, this is a really spare medium. The rap music also is a spare medium. You know, it's not like I can distract you with special effects or a great plot, you know, or anything. You know, when you come on camera, you've got to have something to say. And I've got to say, that's the most fundamental, you know, flaw in Charles's formula. He's coming on camera and he has nothing to say. And not even about something as easy to talk about as like Durianrider and his legacy. It's not like you got to do research to talk a good game about that.
Do you feel like he's just lost his passion at this point?
You know, I think he really got on the wrong road as soon as he stopped keeping it real. He made a transition at one point from reporting the news to inventing the news. You know, I noticed exactly when it was. I mean, I saw it. I was in contact with him that day. And then from there on, it was a moral downward spiral. And, you know, to what extent does he even know who he is anymore, or who he's supposed to be? To what extent is he portraying a fictional character, and to what extent is he out of touch with reality? Based on the private email I've had with him, yes, he does seem to be insane. You know, I'm just being honest with you. You know, honestly, like, to give you an example, so you know I have a job here in China. Like, you know, I live on a university campus in China where I teach classes at university, and that's really obvious. But when I was back here teaching in China, he sent me an email where he was like seriously, not jokingly, saying to me that he knew for a fact I was still in Chiang Mai. Like, I was still like in hiding in Thailand, like causing drama or causing conflict or shit. It's like, dude, so I'm now a 39-year-old man in a gray suit. For real? Like, I'm not a high school student. You know what I mean? You think I'm living in hiding in Thailand just to cause drama? Really? Like, you know, like, there's so much wrong with that. But this is obviously a trivial example. But the extent to which he's kind of making things up in his own mind and playing games and losing touch with reality. From my perspective, as someone who's known him for a relatively long time, and I've, you know, talked to him privately as well as publicly, yeah, I'd say insanity is part of the problem. And like, don't forget, like, so Quest, you know, YouTube hasn't destroyed your life yet. But this guy dropped out of college for YouTube. And there's another great example. There's a YouTuber called Caitlin Shoemaker, dropped out of her MA program. You know, once you're in that deep, once you believe that this is going to pay your rent, you know, you drop out. That's real damage. Those are real consequences to live with. Nobody did it to him. You know, he did it to himself. But sure, if he wasn't crazy to begin with, that sense of his own failure, of his own squandered potential, dude had talent. Dude could sing. Dude could play guitar. Dude was charming. And at one point, he was loved. I can remember when he was loved, not hated. I can remember when everyone supported him, when everyone just wanted him to get better, when everyone just wanted him to recover from his drug addiction. It was nothing but positive support. And you know, he's got nobody to blame but himself.
Are you still... Do you keep in touch with anybody from them, like Traveler, or you said you engaged, you got some friends at one point? Are you still in contact with any of them? Have you left it all behind?
Sure. I mean, sorry, a different story in each case. But, you know, I've been in this game long enough that different people go through different phases in their lives. Like, some people stop talking to you just because they have a new boyfriend or new girlfriend. Some people stop talking to you because they have a new job. One person I'm friends with stopped talking to me because he or she got a new religion, converted to a new religion. And, you know, in some cases, I don't hear why they disappeared, or I only find out years later or something. But no, I mean, my door's open to all those people, basically, you know. And I do still talk to Richard. But, you know, Richard and I, Vegan Games, we don't have that much in common. So, you know, like, I'm happy to talk to him, but, you know, I don't play video games. I'm not into the same stuff he's into. So it's not, you know. But obviously someone, you know, is more positive than negative for the future of the movement. I noticed he just had another video whipping out a gun and pointing the gun to the, on camera, threatening to shoot people in the head. There's some aspects of his act I don't support, I don't sympathize with, which are not so good, but still, nevertheless, But no, I just say, I say this for myself, self-critically too. I think this is true of a lot of people on the tube. I'm looking to replace, a lost family. I'm looking to replace what my family failed to provide me with, what high school and university all failed to provide me with. I should have come out of high school with a circle of friends that last for life. I should have come out of university with a circle of friends that last for life. I didn't. I don't have that. And I'm looking for quality people just to be a part of my life in whatever way they can. You know what I mean? Like I don't need a lot from people. Yeah. But yeah, and that's why, it does bother me. Like to give an example, Jake Eames, when I was last in Chiang Mai, well, no, sorry, not last. So a couple times ago, over a year ago when I was in Chiang Mai. Sorry, I've been back to Chiang Mai since then. But anyway, when I was in Chiang Mai, having the face-off Durianrider, there was this guy there, Jake Eames, and I don't know why he disappeared. I assume it's because he tried to buckle down and work on his job, care more about his job, his education. That's just my assumption. But sometimes, people disappear, and it's like, whoa, I thought we were going to be colleagues in the movement. I thought we'd really be organizing and instigating stuff for veganism, and now you've ghosted. So sure, I'm disappointed that way, but normally there are reasons, and very often they're positive reasons. Very often it is new girlfriend, new job. They got something better to do than come on YouTube and talk about their feelings. Maybe this will happen to you too one day, Quest. Maybe someday, there'll be a positive reason for you to disappear,
Maybe so. Honestly, on this thing, we got people here. So I'm happy for that. There's other people that do throw a lot of dramatics in ways. And I'm just not so sure. People I thought I was good with, and then I'm not so sure anymore. I guess like Traveler would be another one, just the way he kind of acts out. Yeah. I understand why he acts out. I guess it's one where he's like abusive to like the people that he likes. So I don't know, but it's hard when it's an online friendship because
right.
You don't really know each other, So
right.
It's hard.
Sure, look, I agree, and I mean, you can have the same problem in real life too, knowing people face to face and not really knowing them. But I mean, look, stupidity is real, insanity is real, and there's no doubt in veganism you deal with more than your fair share of people who are either stupid or insane or both. That's real, and I mean, I've spent time in elite institutions. I was at Cambridge and Oxford University in England, because my ex-wife was getting her PhD there, and I presented some papers, I presented some research, and went to some events and conferences. At those elite universities, the average level of intelligence of the people with PhDs, I'd say, was lower than like my fellow high school students when I was in high school. And the percentage of them that are insane is higher than my fellow high school students that I was in high school. Like you look around a classroom in a PhD program, a lot of people are stupid, a lot of people are crazy. So like I can't front on it too much. Yeah, in veganism, sometimes it burns me that I got to deal with so many people who are insane or stupid or a combination of the two. But like, let me tell you, the PhD program in anthropology at Cambridge, bunch of fucking idiots and crackpots. Like, this is my experience when you're in elite situations and you think, wow, very few people here are like mentally competent and have their act together. And that's been my experience in life in a lot of different fields. So I can't hate on vegans too much, but I can advise my fellow vegans, you got to protect yourself. You got to think about that. Everybody you're dealing with in this scene, in this game, they can be really pernicious. They can be really crazy. They can literally create fake nude photographs of you and post them on the internet just to get attention. Like, yeah, like this. I know. Like this is the stuff that goes on, and it's like, I am not Kanye West. Like, I'm not really famous enough to justify this kind of behavior. But yeah, that's what goes on.
What about Jonas Sunshine? Are you a fan of him?
Sorry, so a couple sentences there I couldn't hear. Do you want to say again or type? Sorry.
What about Jonas Sunshine? Are you a fan of him?
No, and he hates my guts, actually. So, yeah, I made a video ages ago called Use Soap, You Idiots. and I think the subtitle is Why I Hate Vegans. Still a great video, but about soap. So maybe you've heard of the, bacterial theory of disease. It's more than just a theory at this point. The existence of bacteria and its relationship to human illness is now much, much better proven than the theory of evolution or the theory that the earth is spherical rather than flat and so on. This is a well-proven theory, but Jonas Sunshine is in the tiny minority of people who do not believe that washing your hands with soap is in any way related to disease. And I pushed him on this. I said, so you do not believe, if you go to a surgeon, do you expect the surgeon to wash the scalpel with soap? Like, do you believe that, do you believe you can get sick from a dirty knife being used in the surgery? Do you expect surgeons to wash their hands and wash their surgical instruments? So yeah, he's a crackpot on that side, and he was sending me links to these really, horribly disproven, just not credible, doctors who don't believe in soap and don't believe in the existence of bacteria. And these same people, don't believe that HIV/AIDS exists. They believe it was a conspiracy made up by the government, this kind of crap. Unbelievable nonsense. So, I didn't even argue with him. I remember he sent me this link, and I just Googled the resume of the doctor, the medical expert, who was the source of information. I was just sitting there reading out to him the history of this, the best source he had supporting his point of view. And he went nuts. So yeah, that's a test in general in life. The fragility of your own views, the fragility of your beliefs, the fragility of your position, however you want to put it. But if you can't give and take a discussion that way, if you freak out when someone just says, okay, well, let's look at your sources, let's look at why you believe this, it's a sign you really need to reevaluate, what your position is or what your assumptions are. But yeah, it's pretty sad. So no, and he's an example guy. Look, bottom line, is he crazy or is he sane? Is he brilliant or is he stupid? I could ask you a much simpler question. Is he going to do anything positive for the vegan movement in the next 5 years? My answer is no. So therefore, I write him off for that reason. I think he'll do something positive or not.